So let's go through the unsealed indictment of seasoned veteran journalist Don Lemon and another journalist, Georgia Foote, who is known for covering civic engagement on behalf of her community last night. And what I'm going to tell you is why they're going to get off, because essentially they were arrested for journalists being journalists and doing journalist things. And I'm also going to let you know that this is part of a pattern for this Department of Justice Attorney General. She has a losing record. So I'm going to go through her losing records and why I'm so confident that this case is either going to be dropped or they're going to be acquitted. And it's a big fat nothing burger. It's all theater. It's all for show. This is like nothing. And before I do go through the indictment, let me first play 3 clips for you. One is from Harry Colbert Jr. from the Center of Broadcast Journalism. Just after the arrest in the middle of the night, they did a presser, just essentially saying that, you know, the shock of what's going on. And I'm also going to play a little clip of Katie Tur's interview with Elena, what's her name? Aaron Haynes, who is the NABJ journalist, NABJ president. And then finally, a clip inside Georgia Foote's home right as the folks were knocking at her door in the middle of the night to go arrest her. And again, I'm going to tell you why this is a nothing burger. But first, let's listen to the clips.
Pardon me if this is new to me, because normally I'm on that side of the camera. But today, I and many of my colleagues are called to be on this side of the camera. And it is one of the scariest moments of my life and in my career to know that a fellow journalist, a top journalist, an award-winning journalist, a 3-time Emmy award-winning journalist, the only journalist who was in the courtroom during the Derek Chauvin trial. So she is a vetted journalist whose credentials are impeccable, is right now sitting in federal custody for doing her duty.
This is not just about one journalist or one protest. This is about whether the First Amendment still protects journalism, right? And especially journalism that is challenging power and centering marginalized communities. Don Lemon is a 30-year veteran journalist. Georgia Foote is an independent journalist. They were doing their jobs. They were not obstructing justice. They were practicing journalism, full stop. Arresting journalists for news gathering is a direct threat to press freedom. So yes, NABJ is deeply concerned. We are outraged, frankly, by the arrests of Don Lemon and Georgia Foote in connection with their reporting on a protest in Minnesota. They were not participating in a protest. And so what we're seeing is really a continuation of a pattern and, frankly, an escalation that should concern every member of our profession, but also every member of the American public, because this is a threat not just to our profession, but to democracy itself.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Okay, well, this is really scary. There's kids in the house. You guys have not been really friendly in the community. And to me, this seems a little, can I finish, sir? Can I finish? Can I finish?
Get your phone.
This seems a little bit aggressive to have all these cars in our cul-de-sac, 2, 3 agents, and now I saw the one disappear to the back. So to me, this is a little aggressive to just serve a warrant. Slide the warrant. Let me see the warrant. Okay, and that to me, what I have been told, is not a judicial warrant that has me to have to open the door for you.
Crazy, right? So the indictment, first of all, before I go through the indictment, you should know that this was Pamela Joe's like 4th or 5th attempt to did this. It's a nothing burger. She went to the magistrate judge. The magistrate judge refused to sign it because it's kind of like, you really are trying to arrest a journalist for doing embargoed work, which is, I'm going to tell you what that is in a second. No. Then she appealed it the next level to a federal district judge who was like, this is not what we do. We don't do this here. And that judge kicked it out. Then they appealed it again. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 judges say no. I've seen people report that it was 2 judges. No, the Court of Appeals, all of them said this is not what we do. Frustrated, she went forum shopping. She went to California. She went all over the place. This is really, really desperate. Anyway, the indictment she was ultimately able to get labels the journalists as organizers and agitators. It mentions emotional language saying a child was scared. That's a narrative filler. And here's the thing really quick that you should know, that the way the grand juries work, it's just a charge. It's not evidence of criminal conduct whatsoever. It's planning. It's just, what happens is you go to a magistrate judge, you get it signed off, then you present it to the grand jury. There's no defense. This is just the prosecutor say, hey, we have evidence that something happened. So there was no evidence. There were just statements. There's no opportunity from the person who's being charged for them to give their statement. And then they just charge them, and that's the end of it. No proof whatsoever in this document. They're characterizing Don Lemon as is criminal, essentially as part of organizers, and they say that they quote, you see, Don Lemon saying, "I'm going to meet up with you guys later. I'm not going to give it away." Seriously, that advance notice of preparation is common in journalism. You know that when the White House went and seized the president of Venezuela, Maduro, from his home and their wife, there was photos, there was video images that the White House was releasing. The people who took those pictures and videoed those pictures, when Donald Trump and those guys are ultimately held accountable for their whatever that was, if there was any international crimes broken, do you think the international crime jurists are going to then go for that photographer who videotaped them removing El Maduro? No, that's not going to happen. That's just ridiculous. And it is very common for you to be invited to an event. I myself, I've been a content creator. I've been a columnist. I covered the Obama White House. Oftentimes we were given advance copies of speeches before they gave them. So we were, I know what I did personally. I would clip the relevant portion. So just as Obama or just as whoever it is spoke, I was able to tweet it a minute and get a lot of boost there. And I'm helping. That's me being a journalist, just helping amplify, helping contextualize, helping, create snippets that people could then retweet and share. That's what we do. And that's why they give journalists advance notice. And part of the embargo, because it seems like they're trying to couch the fact that Don Lemon knew about this thing, is that meant he was an organizer. That is so silly, because even when I've covered, let's say, an opening of a store, they tell you you're going early. So you're going to be able to go early so you can take establishment shots, so you can maybe take pictures of the food or things like that. That doesn't mean we're organizing it. The organizers invite journalists all the time to cover things early. Here's another example. Even though we do have photos, let me just share with you photos of AP reporters inside the Congress during the January 6th riots. They were already there covering Congress, and so they were there when the agitators, the true insurrectionists, came in. You're looking here, Win McNamee, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. He has scenes of Rotunda. He is like an award-winning Getty photographer whose images went viral. That's what journalists do. They capture the moment for the audiences while they're there. That doesn't make them part of it. There was a Black photographer named Mel D. Cole who was, captured the rioters as well. Then there's another person named Nate Gowdy. Nate Gowdy was invited by the January 6th people to come cover it. The same way Don Lemon and Georgia Foote were invited to cover this presentation. If while you're covering it, it turns into an insurrection, does that mean you're part of the insurrection? No. So even though they're trying to say, because Don Lemon was telling his live stream audience, we're about to go in, I'm going to meet up with those folks, that is common when you have embargoed information, that you're going to have inside information about an event that's yet to happen. And as a courtesy, you're asked to not reveal that. So when Don Lemon in this indictment was saying, I'm not going to give it away, I'm not going to tell, essentially he's saying, I got this exclusive scoop, which is normal for journalists to get exclusive scoop, but I can't let you know until it actually happens. But I was given this scoop of this story that's about to break. That doesn't make you an organizer. And that's why I say this case is going to fall apart. Not just because, like I said, it's not a true case. It's just a made up thing. again, this is a pattern. So not only did she not get a magistrate judge to sign off on it, didn't get a federal district court judge, 3-Court of Appeals judge says no. Several career seasoned prosecutors in Minnesota and California passed on it because it's a nothing burger and they don't want to stake their claim on this loser case. But Pamela Joe is a loser. Remember one time she says, I'm going to go after and aggressively prosecute any protester. So over the course of, whenever they had these sieges of blue cities in Portland and Chicago and Los Angeles, Charlotte, D.C., New York City, they arrested, according to AP, did an assessment of it, about 166 people. Of the 100 folks they charged with felonies, half of them, about 55, got dropped to misdemeanors. And then 26 people pled out to be like, okay, whatever. And then the ones that actually went to trial, zero convictions. They either dropped the cases or they got acquitted. And why? Because they got acquitted because there's no evidence. They dropped the cases because they lie. They present information to the grand jury, to secure grand jury, based on lies. And when the Department of Justice lawyers are given the evidence that they have exchanged with the other side, they look at this like this isn't true, and they drop the case. So that's what happened. Trying to characterize, there's no evidence presented whatsoever that Don Lemon had advanced, was part of the planning, part of the committee. Where's the emails? There's going to be no evidence. And because of that, they're more likely drop the case. This is really just Pamela Joe getting frustrated because she wants to make her boss happy. If you saw the cabinet meeting this week that they had, I guess like Thursday, it ended and she didn't get to speak. So she's probably feeling like he's mad at her because she couldn't get the Don Lemon. Donald Trump just wants to embarrass people because you saw the Letitia James and the James Comey prosecutions. There was nobody who wanted to stake their claim with their reputation on that nothing burger. So they got someone who was unqualified, Lindsay Halligan, to try to prosecute it. It was a mess. It was typos. It was they committed a lot of prosecutorial sort of misconduct, ethical misconduct, and even securing those. And that's why they're going to fall apart. And it's nothing. And so this is a part of the pattern of her loser ass self. Zero convictions, just acquittals. In the migrant cases, they arrest people warrantless. She doesn't even send Department of Justice lawyers. They don't even respond to defend themselves. They don't even defend themselves. These cases get tossed out left and right. I'm in the dockets. I'm JJ Legal. You don't know me. That's what I do here. I monitor these lawsuits. And so I can tell you from the institutional memory, they're trying to say journalism is conspiracy. Embargo knowledge means you're planning. The judges know this is nonsense. They're not going to win this. They were just arresting journalists doing journalism, as Aaron Haynes said in that clip earlier. So it's just, freedom of press. It's a nothing burger, and it's really just for show. They're just showing off. It's a reality TV show to appease the 20% of American population that want to see these things. They just want to see the perp walk. For what? Waste of time, waste of resources. JJ Legal, each one teach one. Let's discuss it below. Share this video so more people know. Let's talk.